Good evening and welcome to our parish news programme this week. Back in our usual slot, Saturday at 6 p.m. And again, apologies for those of you that looked out for us last week and we weren't here due to a major issue I was dealing with at the time. Unfortunately, one of the problems when you plan to do these things live. And I assure you it is live. I'm not a video recording. I'm sat here live speaking to you tonight. So anything could happen. It usually means I forget to turn the microphone on, but we'll see how we do this evening. You'll know from last week's programme that communion services have resumed last Sunday with a short 11 a.m. said service on a Sunday and another one on a Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. I understand that Brother Alistair did get some coverage on a competing local TV station last weekend, both on Friday and Sunday. I believe it's called BBC Spotlight. It's possible you might have heard of it, although I understand it's not as popular as our programme. Firstly, to let those of you know who are over 70 and those who are shielding, that the service this Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. at All Saints Church is especially for the over 70s and for the people who are shielding. And we would ask everyone else to stay away. The idea is it's every other week we're going to do a service on the Wednesday for shielded people and for the over 70s so that they all stay together and therefore don't expose themselves to large groups of other people, which is the current advice from the government and from the Church of England. So we will remind you which weeks that is going to be, but this week the Wednesday service is for shielded and for over 70s. Later in tonight's programme, I'll go through the times of all services that we're currently holding, as I know they are constantly changing and it does get a bit confusing. There are posters up in the church porch now. It is updated on the church website and it will be updated on our church telephone information system this week, although we've tried to get into it today and it's locked us out, so we need to wait until Monday to speak to the technical support line. Moving on to our first story this evening, and I should warn you that when I get on to run the video that it has got old video in it and therefore there are the possibility of flashing images if that affects you. Yesterday was the 80th anniversary of the start of the Battle of Britain, and whilst it was not possible to mark it with large national events, I thought it was important that we looked back 80 years to the start of the Battle of Britain, and so here's my report on the Battle of Britain. This weekend we marked the 80th anniversary of the start of the Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain was a major air campaign fought over southern England in the summer and autumn of 1940. It started on the 10th of July and ran through to the 31st of October. After the evacuation of the British Expeditionary Force from Dunkirk and the fall of France, Germany planned to gain air superiority in preparation for the invasion of Great Britain.
Control advised. First radar reports tend toward the probability of the targets being fighter airfields southeast and east of London. In other words, to Control, it looks the same as it did this morning. But too early to judge. It could be London itself. All available squadrons at readiness. Let's hear from the Observer Corps as soon as possible.
The pilots of RAF Fighter Command flying iconic aircraft including the Hurricane and Spitfire were supported by a vast network of ground crew during the battle. Ultimately, the Luftwaffe was defeated by Fighter Command, forcing Adolf Hitler to abandon his invasion plans.
So it's the airfields again. Scramble 5 squadrons, Manston and Lymm.
The RAF had 9,000 pilots and 5,000 planes, and met this challenge with around 3,000 of its pilots and some of the best fighter aircraft in the world, the Hawker Hurricane and of course the Supermarine Spitfire. Let's hear from some of the people involved at the time.
In the summer of 1940, a crucial air battle rages in the skies over southern England. Britain is under attack.
Without any warning, and suddenly about a dozen or so 109s came down on us out of the sun.
The sky was full of Messerschmitt 109s with yellow noses, swastikas and big black crosses on them.
Churchill has warned of this, a battle of Britain upon which the freedom of the British people will depend. One aircraft will become a symbol of the British will to resist, to fight on and win.
It was such a wonderful machine to fly because it turned, slipped, side slip, do all of the things that you had to do in combat so easily.
I'm very proud of the fact that I was involved in the design and the development of the aircraft.
It is the most beautiful aircraft I have ever flown in my life, and it was a fighter.
Let's finish our report by looking at some fantastic footage of the preserved Spitfires from the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. Firstly at Biggin Hill in 2018, and then on the VE 75 day celebrations flying over the White Cliffs of Dover. I don't know about you, but I still very much look forward to seeing the Battle of Britain Memorial flight, which we saw there in the end of that report. And the Spitfire in particular, and that very distinctive noise it makes. But of course this year they will not be seen as much at flying shows, carnivals and large events, because they're simply not happening. The Battle of Britain Memorial flight itself, like so many other historic collections, is a charity. And charities in particular have been hit very hard at this time of the coronavirus. Whilst many businesses have had financial help from government schemes, a lot of the charities have had no help at all, and there's no doubt that some will unfortunately disappear. This is no different from our own church, as we've not had any help from the government or the Church of England either, and still have, like other charities, all the bills to pay. This week's report from Janet Hall looks at how charities have been affected by events such as the London Marathon being cancelled, which is a big event for raising money for loads and loads of different charities.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had a catastrophic effect on our charities, with the cancellation of thousands of events and the loss of billions in income through fundraising. The Virgin Money London Marathon alone, which should have taken place on Sunday the 26th of April, is the world's biggest one-day fundraising event. And last year it raised more than 66.4 million for thousands of charities. To help with this, people across the country have joined in the 2.6 challenge. This challenge can be any activity you like involving the number 26 or 2.6. Example, walking 2.6 miles. If you remember, last week Sheila Collins and Meredy Phillips told you about fundraising for MV Freedom. In the spring, they both took part in the 2.6 challenge. Sheila walked 2.6 miles around the Quay and Nothe areas, and in a minute you can see some of her pictures.
We did the 2.6 challenge, which was quite successful. Meredy exhausted herself, which I'm sure she will tell you about. We did manage to raise some funds from that. Meredy was very efficient in her 2.6 challenge. Perhaps you'd like to tell people about?
I would. We had great fun with the 2.6 challenge, and I decided to do something very silly, which was, I think I was in the prone position, and then I had to squat and then stand 26 times, because that was the whole thing about the 2.6 with 26 for the marathon. I was only going to do it the once, and then a certain person sat next to me, Sheila, said, no, you've got to up your game. So it was a lot more energetic, but we did have some fun with it. The second day of the 2.6 challenge. I survived yesterday, so let's go for it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I can do this. 22. 23. 24. 2 more. 25. 26. Yay!
Thank you very much, Janet, and of course Sheila and Meredy. And Meredy, I just did not know you could move so fast. I'm very, very impressed. Please do remember to support your local charities and your national charities, as well as the local church at this time, because they all need your support at at this time, and will continue to need it for the months ahead. As I said at the beginning of the programme, I would mention the service times and make sure that everyone is up to speed on what is happening. So I'm just going to go through that with you now. It has gone out in our parish email and it is on the front of the website as well. And we will make sure as things change we keep it up to date. So to remind you, our main parish service continues to be the 09:30 Sunday morning live stream service that goes out on Facebook, YouTube, the parish website and Twitter. Of course, the benefit of that is that we can all sing in our own homes and join in with everything together, so we can have music as well. We also have broadcasts throughout the week at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Tuesday through to Friday for our morning and evening daily worship. Tuesday evenings we have our private prayer session in All Saints Church from 6:30 to 8:30. Wednesday, of course, we have our 10:30 a.m. said Eucharist service, with every other week being for the shielded and the over 70s, and it is this week for the shielded and over 70s. And Sunday, of course, we have our 11 a.m. communion service in All Saints. Of course, those things in the church itself, whether it's the private prayer or the 10:30 Wednesday or 11 o'clock Sunday services, are done under quite a lot of strict conditions, such as the wearing of face masks, hand gel. You have to provide your track and trace details in case we need to get hold of people, and we do ask people to social distance, etc. And there are maximum numbers who can attend. Also, just to remind you that St Edmund's Church remains closed at the current time, although the St Edmund's Food Bank is operating from St Edmund's Church. The food bank itself is open on Tuesdays from 10:30 to 12:30 for dropping off food donations, and on Thursday from 10:30 to 12:30 for picking up food if you need support. Whilst talking about the food bank, I've been asked to appeal for supplies of tinned vegetables and tinned fruit in particular, but also to say please do not donate any pasta at the current time. We are developing a pasta mountain at St Edmunds, I understand, so please hold off on the pasta at the moment, but if you can help with tinned vegetables and tinned fruit, that would very much be appreciated. It's now that time in our programme where we give a shout out to those who are celebrating their birthdays. So let's play our birthday jingle. Here we go. I don't know what happened with the jingle there. It got stuck. That's interesting. Don't know why it's done that. But a special shout out this week for birthdays on the 8th of July for Eloise Bibby, Pat Glass on the 14th of July, and our own Janet Hall on the 21st of July. So a big happy birthday to all of you for your birthdays if it's just gone or it's coming up in the week ahead. Please do remember to let us know about your birthdays and your other special celebrations so that we can give you a mention in our programme in future weeks. I thought this week we would look at the weather. We don't have a weather report as such, but I thought it can't be a news programme without something on the weather. So we don't have a regular feature, but I thought we would talk about it tonight. Did you know that more than 9 in 10 British people have talked about the weather in the last 6 hours? But why is this? Is it a cultural thing? Or is it the climate that makes us so obsessed with the weather? Oscar Wilde apparently said conversation about it was the last refuge of the unimaginative, while Bill Bryson noted that its most striking characteristic is that there isn't much of it. The weather and the British obsession with talking about it has been puzzling outsiders for decades. According to research, 94% of British respondents admitted to having conversed about the weather in the past 6 hours, while 38% said they'd actually spoken about it in the last 60 minutes. This means at almost any moment in the country, at least a third of the population is either talking about the weather, has already done so, is about to talk about the weather. So, yeah. So why do the British do it? Is there something about our nation's weather that makes it worthy of discussion, or is it simply a cultural foible? Several features of Britain's geography make the weather the way it is: mild, changeable, and famously unpredictable. Britain's position in the edge of the Atlantic places it at the edge of a storm track, relatively narrow zones over oceans that storms travel down, driven by the prevailing winds. As the warm and cold air flies towards and over each other, the Earth's rotation creates cyclones, and the UK often is in the trail of those cyclones. Today, almost all aspects of the weather are up for debate, although there are two major themes. One is speculation about and a desire for severe weather, such as the traditional White Christmas. Never mind the fact that the UK has only experienced a widespread Dickensian-like Christmas snow 4 times in the last 51 years. The other theme is nostalgia for the weather of the past, which is often at odds with the reality. In my memory, every summer's day in the 80s was hot and sunny and unbroken sunshine. In fact, this could only have been for a few days in a few months, because summers in the UK are often cool and quite often unsettled. You might wonder where this is going. Well, of course, if you are a keen meteorologist, we have a very important day coming up this week, as on Wednesday it is St Swithin's Day. On Wednesday this week it's St Swithin's Day, also known as St Swithin's Day. This falls on the 15th of July each year, a day on which, according to folklore, the weather for a subsequent period is dictated. In popular belief, if it rains on St Swithin's Day, it will rain for 40 days, but if it's fair, 40 days of fair weather will follow. St Swithin was Bishop of Winchester from 852 to 862. With his dying breath, Swithin is said to have requested that his final resting place be outside, where his grave could easily be reached by both members of the parish and the rainfall from the heavens. Swithin's wishes were met for over 100 years. However, in 971, when the monastic reform movement had been established and religion was once again at the forefront, Ethelwold of Winchester, the current Bishop of Winchester, and Dunstan, Bishop of Canterbury, decreed that Swithin was to be the patron saint of the restored cathedral at Winchester, where an impressive shrine was built for him. Swithin's body was removed from its simple grave and interred in the new cathedral on the 15th of July 971. A shrine to the saint remains in the modern Winchester Cathedral to this day. According to legend, 40 days of terrible weather followed, suggesting that St Swithin was none too happy with the new arrangements. Ever since, it has been said that the weather on the 15th of July supposedly determines the weather for the next 40 days, as noted in the popular Elizabethan verse. St Swithin's Day, if thou dost reign, for 40 days it will remain. St Swithin Day, if thou be fair, 40 days will rain nae mair. There is, of course, little proof to support the superstition, and the Met Office has recorded data across a number of years which disproves it. It is also possible that the legend springs from a particular heavy rainstorm on St Swithin's Day in 1315, coupled with St Swithin's supposed posthumous miracles. Less spectacularly, the superstitions may have evolved from pagan beliefs around the changing weather of the midsummer period. This can be explained today by the patterns of the wind currents bringing weather fronts across the British Isles, known as jet streams. When the jet streams falls to the north of Britain, high pressure systems usually associated with clear skies and calm weather are able to move in. In contrast, when the jet stream lies over or beneath the British Isles, Arctic air and low pressure weather systems are more common and bring cloudy, rainy and windy weather. Indeed, across Europe, there are saints who are believed to exert a similar influence over the weather, such as St Medard, St Gervais and sent protests in France on the 8th and 19th of June and Saint God-de-Leve in Flanders on the 6th of July. Whatever you choose to believe, it certainly makes for an interesting conversation whenever the weather is mentioned. So there we go, St Swithin's Day. Now, I do understand that there may be some people who are experiencing an echo in the sound this evening. Certainly we are in the house here. It would be very helpful to me if you are on Facebook in particular and you are getting an echo with the sound. If you could put a message up under the broadcast, it will help me see afterwards whether this is a widespread problem or something locally here. As far as I can see, things are going out okay from the broadcast software, but I do know elsewhere in the house we are getting quite a bad echo. So if you could pop a message up, that I would appreciate it, and I do apologise if you've had any difficulties with the sound this evening. Our final two items tonight are both asking for your input and support. Firstly, you'll be aware that the parish has not done any fundraising activities this year, and it struck me with the school summer holidays almost upon us, and with far fewer people going away this summer, that there's an opportunity for us to do something for white families, whilst also raising some money for the church. And for families, it's always difficult to find things to do for children over the summer holidays. And with families not going away, families will be really, really keen to find things locally for children to do. And also, of course, families at this time haven't got a lot of spare money. So taking the whole family out for the day can be quite expensive. I therefore thought it might be a good idea if we could organise some family events in the church grounds over the summer period, such as treasure hunts. These obviously can be organised in line with the government guidance because people can be socially distanced, etc. We could charge a few pounds and make them affordable for families, but also raise some much needed funds for the church. So if you would like to organise an event, or help with an event, whether it's a treasure hunt or a picture quiz or something that we could do outside in the church grounds over the summer period for local families, or you'd be prepared to help with one of those events, could you please get in touch with either myself or Brother Ali, and we'll see what we can coordinate. Our final item tonight is me sending out a challenge to all of you, particularly those of you who are musically minded. I'll leave you to watch the video, and it will explain what the challenge is. I'm sure over recent months, most of us have seen several recordings either on the TV or the internet of singing collaborations or virtual choirs, where lots of people record themselves singing to a common track and then somebody cleverly edits the tracks together. I must admit, I've been pleasantly surprised by how effective the finished recordings are. Let's have a look at a selection of a few now. As it seems it's going to be a while before we can all sing together again as a group in church, and now the restrictions are lifted a bit, I wondered if anyone would be interested to see if we can put a similar piece together for our parish. We would have to decide on a suitable piece of music, and we can probably accommodate people singing or playing a musical instrument. You would need to practice the piece at home and then come to the church grounds where you would sing or play whilst listening to a common track through an earpiece. So if you're a member of our choir, our congregation or our wider church family and you'd like to get involved in this project, either singing or playing an instrument, please do email me at gary@parishofwhiteregis.org.uk so we can see if we have enough interest. And if you have any ideas on the piece of music we may use, please also let me know that as well. I think this will provide a great opportunity for us all to work together on something while still not able to get together in a big group and to sing and play.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. Amen.
So there we have it. There's the challenge. Can we put together a virtual choir with some musical instruments if necessary and do our own recording? Everybody else has done it. I'm sure we can. So if you are interested, either drop me a line or get in touch with Derek Griffin, and Derek and I will try and pull something together if we've got enough interest. Thank you also very much to those who've popped messages up to say that they haven't got an echo. So it isn't everybody. It's either just here, us here just in the studio and at home, or it is a limited number of people. I did note that some said they'd had a delay earlier in the programme as well. Obviously that could either be here or it could be at your end. Unfortunately, that is an issue with the internet. If the internet gets very busy, that it does cause some sort of glitches. So I hope that hasn't spoilt the programme for you this evening. So we're coming to the end of our programme tonight. It's gone quickly again. 35 minutes is gone. I aim to do 35 or 40 minutes each week. Let me remind you that we've got our quiz tonight at 7:30 and I'm all ready for that. So that will run this week, and again apologies it didn't run last week. And our live stream service tomorrow at 9:30 as our main parish service. And for those that do want to go and take communion, communion will be at 11 o'clock in church. Maximum numbers of 25, and please don't get there earlier than 10 to 11. And don't forget, this coming Wednesday at 10:30 is for a communion for shielded and the over 70s only, if possible, please. Finally, don't forget, if you've got a story or you're celebrating a birthday or another important event to let us know, contact us about the singing And also, if you've got any ideas for family activities and fundraising over the summer period, I know it would be a great help to the church to raise some necessary funds, but also I think it would be a very, very good service for the church to provide to the community in Wyke. We've got a massive number, about 8,000 people in Wyke, and many, many families with children. And if we could provide some sort of service at a reasonable cost for them on a number of days over the summer period, I think that would be very, very greatly received. So until our programme at 6 p.m. next Saturday, I'll say goodnight, and if I don't see you on the quiz later, I look forward to you joining me again next Saturday at 6 p.m.